Hello and welcome to the short video about display formats. This video will describe and explain the three types of display format that you can see regarding maps and mods, and in some cases the other content on the site. Now, I started with the personalizer to make a display of all maps or mods from the Half-Life game posted in 2012. The rest is discussed in a moment. So that was the criteria. So let me jump to the results. This is the main page. This is called the Excerts. Now the Excerts have a standard box around them. You hover and it changes color just to let you know that you're in there. Let me talk about what you get in this excerpt. You get the map name and the game it's for. You get the featured image, which in some cases tell you the kind of style of map or mod that you have. It contains a small text description, normally written by me, describing the content. Then you have the number of recommendation images and the type. At the moment this one only has one. If I were to scroll down, you can see that this has 2 think twice, 3 maybe, and 1 play it later. Now, it also tells you the date that it was posted. Don't worry, you won't see the edit this. The number of comments, 1 recommendation as you can see, and all say maybe. This is just to give you a brief description. So maybe here's a better example. You have 2 that say play it later, 2 that say play it now. So it's 4 recommendations with no significant bias. In addition, you have the number of downloads, and you also have, assuming that you are a member and registered and logged in, whether you've reviewed it or not. Now, I have reviewed this one, so I get a green tick. This one is telling me that I haven't reviewed it, not reviewed yet, and the red cross. Okay, so this is the excerpt page, useful for getting a lot of information and deciding if something looks interesting, because you can see the thumbnail. Now, the other type of display format is called thumbnails. Now, this has a lot less information, but it obviously can be useful if you have a lot of results. Now here we've only have a few results because in the first 5 months we've only had 14 Half-Life 1 releases. Let's look at the first one. By hovering over, it tells you the name. Yes, the name is included in the featured image, but maybe you can't read it very well, and it tells you the date it was released. That's really all. It doesn't tell you how many recommendations, how many downloads, how many comments. No, nothing. What it does do is it tells you whether you've reviewed it or not, though, because as you can see here, it says basically blue borders on the images means you have reviewed the release, and orange borders means you haven't. You need to be logged in to see the different colors. If I were not logged in, all of those borders would be gray, so there's nothing to see. So I can immediately see, oh, I still need to review Space Laser Core and Cry of Fear. I haven't reviewed those. So if you have a big list and you're looking for ones to review, this can be very useful. And then the last one, this is List View. Now, the list view is the most flexible because it contains the most amount of information. Every single one of these headers is reorderable. So first of all, you have the name of the map and the game that it's for. You have the green tick or the red cross to tell you whether you have reviewed it or not. You have when it was posted on the site. You have the release date. Now, the release date can be very different. I mean, look at the last one I posted. It was released in 2010, October, but I posted it in May 2012. So a long time between them. It's missing some information, but all of that information will be updated shortly. The number of downloads, the number of recommendations, the average recommendation, the number of comments, the file size, the average estimated play time, and then the type of map or mod. Now, in this case, we know it's going to be all Half-Life 1, but the list view can be generated in many, many different ways. So you might find that you have a number of different games in there. So that can be useful. So if I want to see all of the extra long or the very short, I want to decide based on my totals. There we go, I can see. Number of comments, if I'm curious which one's got the most comments. Average recommendation, the number of recommendations, number of downloads, and then I can order on those 2 columns as well. And I can even order on whether I've reviewed it or not. and of course the name. So those are the three types of display formats. You have excerpts, which give you a general view. You have thumbnails for those results that are have a lot of results, and maybe you just want to look at the images to decide. And then you have the list, which are probably the most flexible. Now, just to finish, at the top, you've got the code that's used to generate it. If you don't want to go back to the display, the personalizer, you can simply change some of those figures, some of those entries. So I just put in 2011 and it will display 2011. I can do the same for every one of those displays. Alrighty. So it's thinking. I click here, and there we go. Look, lots of them. Now this gives me an opportunity to talk about this. This one doesn't have a nice pretty image. That's because I haven't associated an image with that release. And for that, I apologize. I've got 1,200 maps to do, and I've been adding images only recently. So it's a new feature, so they're not going to be there. But they still have the night things, the title and the release date. And perhaps you'd use this one more to find out which ones you haven't reviewed. And in this case, there's one there. That's a surprise. Lambda Station. I'm sure I've reviewed that, but I'll need to go back and check that. So there is still benefit even without the images. And then into the Half-Life view, into the list view. Be surprised if I haven't. Okay, so Lambda Station again is the one. Yes, there's a lot of information, but we are backdating that. Especially the release date. The release date was only added a couple of weeks ago, so that's going to take a long time. But everything else is pretty much there, especially to do with the auto-generated details, like the number of comments and things. Things like the size of the file, I have to put that in by hand, so that takes time. So there you go. There's a wealth of maps and mods to search, and there's plenty of different ways to have them displayed. So thanks for listening, and keep enjoying the site.